Hey everybody, before the episode begins, just wanted to do a quick little thing here. This episode is very much all over the place. I'm not going to do an intro because I really think the intro that episode 5 has is awesome. But basically I recorded some of it last night, high as hell, recorded the rest of it today, trying to read my notes from last night, high as hell, and created some form of weird masterpiece in the process. So, please enjoy the episode and have fun listening to this crazy fucking shit. Later. Hello, you beautiful bastards. I'm sitting here. I'm a little high, right? Also, welcome to the 5th episode of a wrestling podcast. I'm Rob. This is my show. So, I'm sitting here a little fucking high, right? It's been like 30 minutes since NXT has been over. I've been watching whatever the fuck's on CW. And I've just been sitting here thinking, like, damn, man. I missed the first 13 minutes of NXT tonight, right? I have no fucking clue what happened in the first 13 minutes. My bad, y'all. I was out riding around looking at Christmas lights, holiday lights, whatever the hell you want to call them, with my kid. And obviously that's way more important, right, than coming on here and just fucking like doing this when I'm not even getting paid to do it. Like, I'm just doing it. So, be damned. Yeah. Eventually I get paid. I'm still going to take my kid out to go see Christmas lights or holiday lights before I record this. Respectfully, you know. Either way. So, I'm high as hell, right? And I'm sitting here thinking, as I was watching Raw yesterday being Monday, today being Tuesday, but when this episode comes out, it's going to be like Wednesday morning because I'm recording this and I'm going to bed. And then I'm going to like wake up tomorrow and do my NXT review or whatever have you. And then, put the show up. So I've been sitting here thinking, like, when I did yesterday's episode of Raw, I had 3 pages of notes. And they were pretty detailed, right? Well, for me, they were pretty detailed. I think I covered the big beats of the show. I think I covered like all the main things, gave pretty good thoughts of how I'm feeling towards it. Of course, my thoughts will be delivered better in time. That's how this shit works. But I couldn't help but think, man, I missed the first 13 minutes of NXT and I have 5 fucking pages of notes. I have 5 pages of notes for NXT. I had 3 for Raw. If you want to talk about a story-driven show, Raw ain't it. I'm going to start conducting some research here because this has me absolutely fucking flabbergasted. My flabbers are fucking gasted right now. Raw had 3 matches, and I'm sorry, but they were all very subpar. I'll retract. The tag team match was not subpar. It was predictable. But that's okay because the War Raiders 1,000,000,000% deserve that. So I want to make that crystal clear. I retract what I said about all 3 matches being booty cheeks. No. My bad. It's just that it was predictable, and I wanted more for the War Raiders. I wanted more than literally the most predictable thing of Damien interfering. I did. They deserved a little bit better than that. But either way, I digress. 5 matches. NXT had 5 matches. And when I tell you 14 stories minimum going in NXT, these motherfuckers only do it one night. One night out of the week. Twice. 1 week out of the month. And it's not even every month. I mean, it's becoming every month, but it's not yet. That is insane to me. I wonder what the week over week is going to look like and what my charts are going to look like as I keep following this. And will I have enough evidence build up to be able to confront somebody in the WWE about this? I tried to say it with a straight face. I couldn't. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how this all works out. And especially considering these 5 matches on NXT, while 2 or 3 of them were damn fine, the other 2 were like, oh, this is really fucking good. Compared to, of course, as I said, the 2 stinker matches and the one, unfortunately, very predictable match. I don't know. That was weird to me. And maybe once I edit this in and everybody listens to this, I might sound like a rambling fucking idiot. I don't know. Shout out to Adam Blank. But I'm going to make it a question for everybody. Hopefully people will listen to this and answer it, because it should be available on Spotify, and I'll probably make it a poll when I release the episode. But either way, I want to put a cap on this right now, because the next segment you're going to hear is going to be tomorrow after I wake up and have like a fucking Java Monster and an everything bagel, and I'm chilling and I'm going over my notes. Like, I'm going to be completely different in just a couple hip hop beats. Oh man, I fucking love doing this podcast. This is great. All right, I'm going to bed. See y'all in a couple beats. And just like that, I'm back. So, yeah, that was a wild fucking almost 8 minutes, right? Jesus. I don't know if everybody likes that. Maybe I might start doing it. Who fucking knows? Because I thought that shit was hilarious, not gonna lie. Anyway, so NXT. As I said last night, there were 5 matches on NXT, and 3 of them were pretty good, and 2 of them were like really, really good, and definitely better than Raw the night before. Now, I have my speculations on that. I think that maybe they're trying to save everything they can for when Raw goes to Netflix, and they're probably trying to... but come on, it's January, right, when they go? So we're definitely going to be in Rumble season, because January 1st is like the beginning of Rumble season. That's when everything goes hardcore. And I know it's not the 27th or the 28th this year of January. I know it's like February 1st. But still, we're in Rumble season, and well, not yet, but we're going to be. And I think that's pretty much what's kind of going on with Raw right now. SmackDown, we'll see what we get in a couple days. But today, I'm here for NXT. And then tomorrow, I'll be here for Dynamite. So, we can go ahead and get started on this review / just kind of breakdown of NXT. And as I said, I do have 5 pages of notes. And unfortunately, I didn't look up the first 13 minutes of NXT, but considering Obafemi and Axiom was the first match, I imagine all I did was miss like the arrivals and all that shit that they've been doing, and the announcers kind of running things down, then the entrances, and then the actual match itself, because I watched a good few minutes of the match, and then I went on social media and watched the rest of it. Man, that was a solid match between the two of them. There were a couple spots there that I felt really went off well on television, and Axiom and Frazier both. I know that we haven't gotten to Frazier yet, but both of them are beat up, they're beat down, they've been tag team champions for months. It's starting to wear and tear on them. Attitudes, they never got along to begin with. They were just kind of like thrown into it, and they hated each other, but they want to win, and now they kind of like each other, but they still want to win, and they're just a very interesting tag team to me, and always have been since they've been paired together. I really enjoy Frazier and Axiom, but Obafemi, man, I fucking love Oba. His bounce to the ring and the way his character is developing. I don't necessarily think he's going to beat Trick for the championship, but I hope he does. And that's not because I want Trick to fail. I want Trick to go to SmackDown or Raw. You know, I want him to get the fuck out of NXT. He needs to get out. He needs to spread his wings, just like Roxanne. Roxanne Perez is another one. I hope Julia beats her at New Year's Evil, but that's not because I want her to fail or I want her to crumble. I want her ass to go to fucking Raw or SmackDown. You know, I want them to get up there and prove to everybody what they got, because those two to me are like top tier. Either way, Axiom and Obafemi put on a really good match. Definitely enjoyed it. No, I didn't get to watch NXT last week, but I found out that Eddie Thorpe essentially attacked himself, and well, you know, he didn't attack himself, but he made it seem like he got attacked so that way he could get a championship match, because he was kicked out of the Iron Survivor match because he wasn't good, you know. So that part happened. Eddie Thorpe is getting his shot later tonight, well, later at the show. Sol Ruka and Zarya went against Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, and definitely wasn't expecting the ending to that match, because the way the match went, I wasn't thinking. Crap, I gotta pause. Sorry. 1 second. This is what happens when you don't have your own recording spot. Anyway, so Zarya and what's her name? Sol Ruka worked very well together, but Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend have both been a tag team with Metaphor for quite a while now, and it was expected that they would do well. But I did forget that there was another thing that happened in here. There was like a really bad relationship skit. I honestly and unfortunately don't remember who was in that skit. I was very high while watching this last night, and I didn't write down any of their names, so that's my bad. But then the match started, because it was like they introduced a couple people, then they went to commercial, then they came back, did the bad relationship skit, and then they went into the match, after they introduced Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. So Soul did this move where she went from inside to outside to inside, and then it was a jump off thing, and then she missed a fucking tag to Zarya, and Zarya's face was just priceless because she just was like, hello, my hand was right here, and you completely just whiffed it. But then this one fucking moment happened where Zarya picked up Jakara, had her in the air like how Ultimate Warrior would hold people up, and then Soul got on top of that and rode Jakara like a wave, then got off, went to the top rope, and did a fucking flip onto Lash Legend. It was a very cool moment, and I really enjoyed it. Jakara and Lash eventually won the match. It was very cool. I enjoyed it. So there's two matches right there that are just boom, unbelievable. From these NXT people, Tyson and Tyreek segment looks like it's supposed to be from last week, but I'm not 100% sure that it was last week. It could just easily have been them putting water on themselves and then going to the back and filming a skit. That's the one thing about, well, no, they weren't. They were live somewhere. They went to a different place this week. But still, that's the good thing about NXT, right? You can make things look like that. Well, just wrestling in general, I guess, yeah. Then Wesley got involved, during the whole thing and started talking about Friends and, oh yeah, let's talk about Friends, right? Anyway, then we went to Jada Parker versus Ren Sinclair, and we went to commercial. And when this commercial hit, it was something for ZapDoc, and it was a Rash talking to a woman like a Magic 8-Ball. Never, ever thought I would want to see that, and I still don't want to see that. That commercial was kind of frightening, I'm not going to lie. Then we came back, we had the actual match, and essentially the No Quarter Catch crew guys got involved. The people that that Jada's involved with got involved. I think they're OTP. Of course, Dempsey wasn't there because he's trying to get I just said their fucking name. No Quarter Catch crew guys and Ren on their own accord, not trying to, he doesn't want to carry them anymore, essentially. The match was quick, though. Like I said, Jada Parker won. Then we had this little segment with Gigi Dolan, Shotzi, and their friend. I always forget her name, and I'll pause real quick so I can look it up. Tatum Paxley. That was her damn name. Tatum Paxley. I am sorry to her. But basically, Gigi, Shotzi, Tatum, they're having a little skit where they're playing with dolls, and they talk about a plan to try to take down Fatal Attraction. Gigi says that she's friends with these people, well, used to be, and da-da-da-da. Then it goes to Fatal Attraction. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are kind of back in NXT right now. Don't know if that's where they're going to stay, but they were there for this little segment. Then we went to Axiom and Nathan Frazier walking, and Axiom couldn't stand. So that's cool. Then we came back from commercial with a whole ass women's retrospective in NXT. And that is something that was, I think it was really needed, because from 2012 to 2024, it's kind of weird to put in perspective that it took 12 years to get the women's division to be essentially fully equal to what the men's already was. And it's really cool to go back and look at that development and to look at the fact that women were just bra and panty matches. They really didn't do too much. Trish and Lita are the ones that really started to get into women's matches, and then they just stopped, and then there was hot lesbian action, and just everything was wrong for so long. And then finally in 2012, when they started the women's revolution and they started all that, and the anti-diva page, and we really started to get a lot of influx of real women's wrestlers. And it's been awesome. These females are producing some of the best wrestling that WWE has, especially NXT. I mean, you turn on NXT any week and it's pretty much the women's division running the game. Like three or potential. There was some about a month ago where it was just nothing but women's matches on NXT. And that really makes me feel like they need their own show. And I'm not saying it to be ignorant or rude or mean. Like I talked about this with Brandon on our episode. The women really just need their own show. And I know it's about being inclusive and about all that. But they've got a fucking roster, man. They've got a full-ass roster. And they could really just do kind of what New Japan and Stardom does. Like, intertwine with the pay-per-views and shit, but just let them kind of have their own shows. Well, the premium live events, I'm sorry. God, they could fucking just let the women travel and do their own show, and let the men travel and do their own show, and at the premium live events, bring them all together. I don't know, but then again, that would cause probably a whole bunch of bullshit with relationships and all that. Never mind. I don't know. I just think it would be really cool. And the women's retrospective was awesome. It was probably about 3.5 minutes. I would definitely go back and take a look at it because it was really just one of those moments where I was like, wow, things really have progressed quite a way from where they were 12 years ago. Just 12 years ago. It's insane to think that that's where it's been. So then we jump into the match with Axiom and Nathan Frazier and Gallus, which is Joe Coffey and Wolfgang. They're kind of doing what they did last month, where Axiom was the one that had to kind of take the lead in the match and be the one to do all the work. Well, it started off with Axiom being hurt and Frazier having to do all the work. So it was a really amazing match. Like, I enjoyed this match a lot. So I don't know how to describe the match, but it was basically like a back and forth of Axiom and Frazier being in pain but still pushing through. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Because Gallus is just like a machine, right? They don't really win that much, but they're positioned to be machines. And I think they're probably some of the people that are going to remain on NXT. And I'm not saying this to be mean, but they're experienced. So you need people with experience in NXT to help the people grow that you want to grow. And Axiom and Nathan Frazier are definitely people you want to grow. So you put them in the ring with the real seasoned people, and this is the result you get. Axiom and Nathan eventually won. They made it look like they pulled it out of their ass. Well, then we went backstage with Hank and Tank, and Javion, and they were all talking about their accomplishments. They were talking about, everything that they did throughout 2024, or Javon, I'm sorry. And then Ethan Page kind of like was in the background, and he gets up off of the chair and just pushes his way through. And we go to commercial with them just, what happened with Ethan Page? Don't know. Well, he's been on a losing streak, and, clearly he's not right in the head. So then we come back from commercial, and I was really happy to see this skit, this vignette. But it's Dempsey and King, which we all know, or if you don't know, that's William Regal's son and fucking Brian Pillman's son. Like, two absolutely awesome fucking wrestlers in the very late 80s, early 90s, into mid 90s. Both of them just fantastic in their own way. And just to see Dempsey and King together doing like training videos and shit, it's wild and pretty fucking funny to me. And then we get to the segment that everybody's talking about. The segment of the night, right? Ethan Page goes out to the ring, and he does this whole fucking horse and pony show. And in my notes, I wrote, looks disheveled and broken. Sounds like he's trying to get sympathy for being sad. Talks about his son, daughter, and wife. Tries to get personal. Fans chanting. I don't even know what my rating is right there, because they know it's a ruse. I said the word ruse. I was very high while writing this in my notes, by the way. I also said loser mentality, character development. Then he says the magic words, I lost my smile. Sorry, that fucked me up. And also, that's kind of one of the main reasons why I'm having a little bit of a harder time here today with things, because I keep referring to my notes, and I wrote them very high, and I might post a picture of them, and it's fucking hilarious trying to go back and read what I wrote. So I might put that as a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. Oh boy, because this has been hard. So Javon interrupts, talking about what was said, how basically Ethan is sad because his daughter's looking for his championship and his son keeps seeing him lose, and his wife is disappointed in him, like really trying to drum up the sympathy beats, So Javon comes out and he talks about everything, and I'm pretty sure he said bro about 50 fucking times. And he's trying to boost him up and trying to do all that, and then fucking Ethan is like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be worried about losing my smile, but taking one from you, or taking yours from you, something to that tune. And then he just kind of like beats him up a little bit and goes and gets a chair. And for the first time that we've seen, because we've never seen this before, right? In all these years of these wrestlers taking chairs and wrapping their heads around it, like putting their head on the top part, and then like the neck where the seat would be, and then stomping on it. All these years that we've seen this, it's always just been the wrestler reacting in pain and writhing in agony and this and that and da 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 da. But for some reason last night, for the first time, they do the stomp thing, and as soon as the stomp happens, Javon, like, spits out this massive amount of blood. Like, and it apparently a tooth came out. I don't know. Clearly couldn't see the whole 9 yards. But then officials came out and all sorts of shit happened, and then we went to yet another commercial. And we come back, we kind of got a recap of what happened. Then we saw Trick Williams being interviewed in what appeared to be a foam-blasted basement with a whole ton of filing cabinets in there. I don't know what the fuck that was about. But, yeah, there's just a shit ton of filing cabinets in there, and Trick Williams is just being interviewed, and it's foamed ceiling, and it was just a very weird thing. Then we ended up with a Stephanie Vaquer vignette, talked about Cora Jade next week. Oh, also next week is Taped, and because this was the last live show of NXT for the year, so I imagine they recorded next week's NXT last night, but I haven't seen anything out for it yet. Now, next week is also a very tricky thing because it is Christmas, it is the holidays, and I really like to spend time with my family on the holidays, so you're gonna get your episodes from me. Just bear with me, because I tend to put, and as I should, I put family over anything. So then we ended up with Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. It was a good match. The biggest thing that we had, and this is the other thing I guess that you can say everybody's talking about, right, is the ending. We haven't had an ending like this in a little bit, where a ref got injured in the match, then the other ref got injured in the match, and then both of them counted, and both of them were counted as the winner. And NXT went off the air with nobody knowing if Trick won or if Thorpe won. So I have no idea how that's going to go. Speaking of arms being down and shit, when Wolfgang was pinned, his arms were not down, by the way. He was kind of like dazed and his arms were up. Shoulders weren't on the mat and they still counted as 3. Either way, back to Thorpe and Trick. Yeah, NXT went off the air in some confusion, but overall, the show was pretty good. Again, 5 pages of notes versus 3 pages the night before on Raw. And yes, I was also high while doing the Raw notes too. Just NXT has more story. There's so many things happening on NXT, and it's crazy because NXT feels like what Raw should feel like. Like, there's anarchy in NXT, and it's just great. But then when you put on Raw, you get corporate anarchy. And I understand there's a huge difference between Raw and NXT, but they both do represent the same company. They both do represent the same mentality. And if you have these people in NXT doing all this cool shit, and then you put them on Raw, and then they're like, oh, well, alright. Yeah, I don't know. I personally feel like NXT is what Raw should be in the crazy department. Because when I think of Raw, and when I think of the word Raw, I'm not going to say I think of the Attitude Era, or I think of this, or I think of that, but I think of all the crazy moments on Raw that makes Raw Raw. And if you don't have a bunch of crazy moments, then it's not Raw. And there really haven't been crazy moments lately, but that doubles back to what I said at the beginning of the segment. I personally think that they're saving a lot of shit for when they go to Netflix. Hopefully, I'm right, and hopefully we get to see some cool things on Netflix. I'm not saying that I want blood and saying this and that, whatever. Just give me cool fucking things. That's really all I want. Just cool fucking things. So, with that being said, I believe I'm done for this episode. This is the most haphazard episode I've recorded yet, because I recorded the first segment last night, ISL, recording this segment today, trying to read my notes, and then now I'm going to stop recording here and record the opening to let everybody know that this episode's kind of a fucking mess. So, yeah, with that being said, I'll see everybody for number 6 sometime soon. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And later, bitches. Hey, this is the part of the show where it's the end. And I gotta tell you to like, follow, subscribe, do all that great shit. A wrestling podcast. Look it up everywhere. Rob, I'm out.